Where South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has named an envoy to meet the Eswatini king to quell the violence in the country. Former cabinet minister Jeff Hadebe will join 15 other envoys from the Southern African Development Community to engage with King Eswatini III about the political and civil unrest that has engulfed the country in recent weeks. The move is the first from the SADC bloc to address unrest as a result of pro-democracy protests from citizens. The country is the last absolute monarch in Africa. Joining our South African Continental from NC Continental Prime this evening is Wandile Dludlu, the Secretary General of the Swaziland Solidarity Movement. Good evening, Wandile. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Evening, my brother, and thanks for having us.
Now, Wandile, what are your thoughts about the envoys that are being sent to Eswatini by SADC? Do you think this is a step in the right direction, and what effects would it have?
We can only hope for the best, my brother. Any effort by the region is welcomed by us on the ground because we do need assistance. I come from Pudemo, the People's United Democratic Movement, one of the longest proponent of democracy. And we've been calling for the region to intervene. And for quite a while, it's been quite undecided. We hope this time around, it's not going to be lip service.
Now, Wandile, can you give us a situation report on the state of play in your country at the moment? What's going on?
The situation is very tense, my brother. The army and the police have been on the streets, particularly yesterday and today. And this has seen at least about 38 people who have been injured, shot with gun wounds and broken limbs. And about 11 of them have since passed away yesterday alone. With some of them as young as 18 years, 21 years, and the youngest being a 17-year-old school-going child who was shot by soldiers with live rounds. Other than that, there were protests almost across the country as people continue to demand the democracy as well as the release of more than 700 people who have been arrested, many of them who are young people, the ages of 9, 10, and real teenagers. And of course, there are about 2 MPs also have been part of these people who have been arrested. But by and large, the situation is extremely tense and we are really teetering on the brink of total anarchy.
So, Wandile, the last time a SADC sent envoys to the kingdom of Eswatini, they were able to meet with King Eswatini III, but they couldn't meet with pressure groups, they couldn't meet with groups like yours and pro-democracy groups. And they've said they will try to make sure they meet with civil organizations this time around. How much of a difference do you think that will make? And why is it important that they meet with the other parties and not just the government?
As I've said earlier on, my brother, we're hoping SADC and South Africa is not going to do lip service. There's going to be a decisive move to hold His Majesty accountable. And part of the decisive move is a principled posture of engaging all stakeholders. In June, SADC came by and selectively met groupings that they were directed by the king or His Majesty's government to meet. When a conflict like the one we have, as a region, you need to come in and meet all who matter, not those
all stakeholders
the government points at you to meet.
Now, just before I let you go, Wandile, what's the sentiment amongst the ordinary people of Swaziland, of Eswatini, and your organization, the Swaziland Solidarity Movement. What's the position you're taking? The protests have been going on since June. Do you think there's that some perhaps protest fatigue will be setting in, and how long do you think the people are ready to stay on the streets?
Well, there is anger. The anger is palpable. The tensions, you can cut them with a knife. It's very, very tough. People are not deterred. They are more eager to engage in more action in the near future. They are even calling for, leaders to allow them to take it to their own hands. As Pudemo, I come from the People's United Democratic Movement, Pudemo, as I've said earlier on, one of the most grounded organization inside. So we have the feel of the people in our fingertips. As I've said, that we are really on a brink, and we can't see people going back. And the level of deaths and brutality doesn't help. And unfortunately, the arrogance and adamancy of the king in particular is a cause of concern, and it should be a really challenge that we put to all African brothers, the government of Nigeria, and all brothers and sisters in the continent. We must do our best to really push the Swazi leadership to the corner so that they also sober up and allow people to rule themselves and elect a government of their own that can respect human rights and good governance, unlike what we have now.
Finally, one delay before I let you go. Your country, Eswatini, is the last absolute monarchy in Africa, and some have said it's on the brink of civil war. The people I'm backing up. As the King Mswati III, has it come out to address the nation in order to try and douse the palpable tension that is all over the country right now, or is just government officials issuing statements? Has he addressed it? When was the last time he addressed the nation to talk about these issues?
The king spoke last Friday. That was his last speech. He has spoken, I think, in a space of these 2-3 months. He has spoken twice, if not thrice.
So from his last speech on Friday, did he sound reconciliatory? And
not at all, my brother. Not at all. The king is adamant. The king is dismissive. He actually calls those who are protesting to be dark smokers and drunk, and he's going to smoke them out. The king holds this divine right of kings to rule. So he believes he's not accountable to the people, but only God and the ancestors.
Okay.
So as long as the ancestors and God has not told him to stop the mess he is not listening. He's not listening at all, which is why we continue to really make our call to all brothers in the continent and sisters in the continent to really support the Swazi people.
Wandile, I would like to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you very much for talking to us all the way from Eswatini this evening. We'll definitely be monitoring the situation in your country, and we'll call you if we need updates. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your insights on the subject.
Most welcome, my brother.